product of Knoxville from Austin East, and went on to a terrific college career and a career in the NBA. Now an assistant coach with the Phoenix Suns. Elston Turner joins us here on the New Sentinel Sports page. Hey, Elston, Vince Ferrara and Jesse Smithey, great to talk to you. How you doing this morning?
Doing good. Good morning, fellas.
How often do you make it back into Knoxville?
Well, usually it's once a year, and it's in the summer. I come back to see family and friends. My mother's still there, and just a lot of friends from growing up in the area. And while I'm there, I try to always do something in the community and for the city and for the kids. So I have a basketball camp like the third week of July. So I'm always there around that time, third week of July to the first week of August. I enjoy myself.
Elston, take us back to 1981 when you were drafted into the NBA. A lot of people around here last night watched Harrison Smith, a local product, get drafted in the NFL draft. What was that like for you getting picked in the second round that year?
First of all, I have to dust off the memory bank because it was a long time ago. It was fun. It was exciting. It was. There's a lot of work that you do leading up to that point, and you never know if it's going to pay off or how successful you're going to be or if anybody recognizes it, especially when you're doing individual work on your own. When you hear your name called to go to a specific professional team, it's like the culmination of all your hard work and everything paid off, and you finally, even though it's just the beginning of your work, it was just an exciting time for me, knowing that, and for my friends, my close friends who really was in my corner and my family. It's just a good feeling because there's so many players who could have been called, and you're just at the top of your game. You feel like you're the pick of the litter when that happens, and it's a good feeling.
Elston Turner, Phoenix Suns assistant coach, Knoxville product from Austin East, joining us here on the New Sentinel Sports pages. Where are they now presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas? Your college basketball at Ole Miss, leading them to their first NCAA tournament appearance in 1980, 1981. What was that like for you to have that kind of success and bring Ole Miss that level of success they hadn't experienced before?
Well, it was great for me, and at the time when I decided to go there, I wasn't thinking in that terms because Ole Miss was traditionally a football school, and usually basketball players don't make those type of decisions. Well, I go to a football school. Usually they're basketball tradition type schools, but I wanted to just stay in the SEC because of the whole story of growing up in Knoxville and not really getting any attention by University of Tennessee. So I wanted to stay in the SEC for that reason. But when we finally, I had a group of guys that I went there with. We just stayed together. When we were able to accomplish that, we won the SEC tournament that year also, as well as taking as you mentioned, taking the team to the first NCAA tournament. It was so much attention brought to it because it never has been done, and now we are still to this day like kings when we go back to college because of that one event. And I had no idea that when you achieve something like that at a football school and you achieve their first tournament, the things that they've done for the first time, it's just as good as going to a basketball tradition school, and winning a championship. Even though we didn't win the ultimate championship, those folks at Ole Miss were crazy about us, and we achieved something that they've never seen before. And it makes me proud to this day because all of our names are in the history books down there.
Elston, you got drafted by the Dallas Mavericks, spent some seasons there, then went to the Denver Nuggets, and then you had that run 86 to 88 with the Chicago Bulls when you had a young Michael Jeffrey Jordan on the team. Do you get asked about that time period in your life a lot?
All the time. All the time. It's not about the Bulls. It's how was it playing with Michael. I was Michael. I feel blessed that I've played, all the years in professional basketball. But at that point in time, it was good for me because we challenged each other so much, in practice. Michael was, of course, my timing was bad because as soon as I left there in '89, and I think it was around '90 they started winning all these championships. So my my timing was bad, and I played the same position as Michael, and that's unhealthy for any career of an athlete, because he's going to play 40 minutes out of a 48-minute game, and you get the other 8. So it wasn't real healthy for my career. But anyway, it was such an experience. He was huge at the time, and I've got so many stories. We were flying commercial at the time, none of the private charter planes. And every time we walked through the airport, it would be 1 or 2 people following him, and we'd go 20 yards, and there's 20 people following him. Then we walk a little further, and there's 30 people. It's just a big crowd. He was such a superstar, almost like a Michael Jackson. And he still is to this day. Terrific player, and by far the best that I've played with. 2 years there, 3 in Denver, and also 3 in Dallas. So I've had a good run.
Visiting with Phoenix Suns assistant coach Elston Turner, who went to high school at Austin East, grew up in Knoxville, and went on to a terrific career at Ole Miss, then 8 seasons in the NBA after being taken 43rd overall in the 1981 NBA draft. Now 14 years as an NBA assistant coach with the Trailblazers, the Kings, the Rockets, now the Phoenix Suns. And you guys were very close. You guys were in that race to try to get one of those final 2 spots in the Western Conference this year. How difficult was it to once you knew that you weren't going to make the playoffs, to have your season kind of come to an end with, maybe even though it was a season that some people may have been surprised you were even in that spot?
Well, it's always difficult to lose and not accomplish the goals that you set out to get at the beginning of the season, especially keeping the players' minds that they did accomplish something. I mean, the preseason picks and polls had us finishing like 14th or 15th, and we finished 9th or 10th. I think Houston just passed us last night. Still, that's having a better season than most experts picked you to have. We had chances to make the playoffs. I mean, we just lost to the big one was the other night against Utah, where we had to win a game up there in Utah and wasn't able to do that. And we had some injuries, but most teams do have injuries at this stage of the season because it's just a long grind, and somebody's going to be either out for the year or have some type of nagging injury, and we've had those. But as coaches, we look at the games that we lost early in the season. All we needed to do was to pick up one game somewhere along the line, one win, and we started out at some point with I think it was 12-19. So we were well under 500. We had to dig ourselves out of a hole and this, that, and the other. But some of it is due to this shortened season and not having practice time. Some of it was due to just a new group. This is my first year here, so I had to put in a total new defensive system. We had at least 6 new first-year guys, so it was a combination of all of that. But it was very disappointing because all this goes on my resume, and someday I'd like to coach my own team. And I've 15 years in this league. I've made the playoffs at least 12 of those 15 years. Also, the good thing is that I'm still able to put on my resume that I've never had a losing season. Pretty good work and pretty positive and pretty impressive from coaching standpoint to have 15 seasons in and never won under 500. So I'm happy.
Elston, you mentioned hoping to coach your own team someday. I know you've interviewed for head coaching positions in the past. Do you feel like your time is coming in the short term somewhere soon?
Well, you sure hope so. But being around the business, a lot of it is how your team that you're on and that you work with, how they finish. Usually the assistants that are hot come from a team that probably just won or went deep into the playoffs, this kind of thing. When I was with Sacramento and we were really good during that stretch on my first year in Houston, that's when I had my interviews with Phoenix and with Minnesota. And so a lot of the way the system works is you get the recognition if your team is doing well. And it doesn't mean you can't coach if you're on a not-so-good team. But that's just the way it works. The owners and the other franchises like to pick from those teams. But my name is out there, and I'll speak with my agent here in a couple of days about what's available. And there is I think there's about 4 or 5 positions that should become vacant this year. And the bad thing about the NBA is that there's only 30 jobs, and when one of them open up, there's 100 people with their name in the hat. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you got to be a little bit lucky. You have to know the right people, and obviously you have to know what you're talking about when you go in for the interview. So I'm at least expecting to land at least 2 or 3 of these interviews this summer.
Quickly, just give me your thoughts on win the NBA title and who we might see in the NBA Finals.
There's the teams that on paper look like they're the most talented, which would be obviously Miami and Oklahoma City. Then there's the teams that are playing the best basketball collectively. And in my opinion, San Antonio is playing the best basketball. So personally, I'm going to go with San Antonio. They have a nice mix of young players and the old veterans, and Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and Ginobili. Those guys have been together so long, and you know they know where each other are on the court with their eyes closed. You know, throw passes with their eyes closed and hit you right in the hands. But they're playing good basketball. They have a nice pace to the game, a nice flow. Coach Popovich has changed his style a little bit. They're more up-tempo now, and they're creating situations off the fly. You know, they're less predictable. 2 years ago, you know what they were running because they would always throw it into the post to Tim Duncan or you know, it was more of a half-court team. Now they're an open-court team. They're creating situations, and they're just tough. I mean, they're a tough team to beat. So San Antonio would be my pick out of the West. Obviously, Miami out of the East.
Elston, real quick before we let you out of here, and we appreciate you giving us some time, but I noticed on the Phoenix Suns coaching staff that Bill Cartwright is on there. I want you to tell me who has the uglier jump shot, Bill Cartwright or Sean Marion?
Or who?
Sean Marion.
Oh, it's like a bow tie, man. It's just like one. Both of them are pretty. You don't want to teach your kid to shoot like any one of those guys. Unbelievable. One shoots above his head from the left side, and he's a right-hander, and the other one shoots from his chest with a little push shot. Ugly. So they're like a bow tie in my book. Don't teach your kid to shoot like any one of those guys. And I tell you, I've seen, even in pro basketball, I've seen some ugly jump shots. Ugly.
Elston, we could keep you a lot longer. I have a ton of things on cue I could ask you, but we got to let you go. We've been too greedy with your time. We really appreciate it, and let's get you back on another time here real soon, if that's all right.
I'll tell you what, fellas, just call me and let me know when, because you know, I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it, and let everybody back home know what I'm doing. It's just a phone call away.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to put you on hold. Our producer's going to talk to you real quick off the air, but thanks so much, Elston. Have a great weekend.
All right, you guys too.
All right, that is Elston Turner, a great representative for Knoxville and great success in coaching after a terrific NBA and college career. That's Where Are They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas.